All right, ready?
I hope so. Yes.
Butthole. Out of context.
You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. My name's Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. Right back at you.
I hope you listened to our last episode. We did our annual movie preview. That was fun. We looked at all the movies, anticipating 2023 and all the things that are coming to the cinema. Ranked a few of our most anticipated, so I hope you didn't miss that. You might. We've already talked about what's probably our most anticipated movie a couple times, but there's a couple other ones on there you may not even have heard of. You may not even know what's headed your way unless you listen to that episode.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
That was the last episode we recorded in 2022.
Right.
And this is the first episode we are recording in 2023.
Wow, we're really slacking.
Whew, we are.
More about, now we're going less quantity.
More quality.
No, that's it. Just less quantity.
Oh, just that. Okay.
Right.
I have a question.
That's a fair goal.
Yeah. I have a question, Cliff.
Achievable goals are our thing.
This is Jordan said we could start out with news, but I wanted to. I'm not asking Jordan because I feel like this is on your radar, Jordan.
What?
But this is my test to see how far it's reached the public. Cliff,
the OGL?
Yeah, Cliff, as the public, do you know that anything is going on with Dungeons and Dragons other than the figures from the cartoon breaking?
That's the biggest scandal in his life.
Yes, I had all kinds of action figure news to break down. So yeah, it has crossed
common man on the street.
It has crossed my social media feeds there. I don't know what was that, like a week or two ago, or is this brand new?
Well, it's all. It came to a head kind of today. Well,
I just happened to cross the original IO9 article that kind of broke all the news, and right. I read it, and I didn't understand all of it because I'm not in that world.
Yeah.
But I found it really interesting. Of like, wait, what is going on? Like it just seemed like this could be a big deal. So I read the whole article and read a bunch of the comments. I was interested in what was going on, even though I didn't quite understand it.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. It's ridiculous. I've never seen like a corporation shoot themselves in the foot so badly. Oh my gosh. Because there's so much goodwill with Dungeons and Dragons. People love Dungeons and Dragons. And this is a industry that your customer base is fanboy nerds who will literally uprise against anything, and they just love you. They just love Dungeons and Dragons. So
yeah, I had that in my notes as news to bring up. So I'd hoped you had more information.
Well,
on that. So
the last couple of years with Stranger Things and these celebrities playing and even, we've even talked about athletes that are playing and things like that. I would say it's pretty popular right now.
It's extremely as popular as ever.
One of the craziest things about all this news is it was having a great comeback resurgence.
Yeah.
And then they had to fix it. They had to fix what wasn't broken.
What does a corporation love more than when they're making money? How can we make more money?
Year over year improvement. So yes,
exactly.
Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
This is the owners of the D&D trademark,
Mm-hmm.
who are in turn owned by Hasbro, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I saw Wizards of the Coast is almost like half of Hasbro's income. I saw somewhere.
Yeah, where
like,
they used to be like the smallest thing.
Yeah.
Now they're making them billions of dollars.
So Hasbro, it's a big deal within the Hasbro Corporation.
Yeah. So
Wizards of the Coast is ending the open gaming license that they've had for decades.
Yeah,
So
I think it's around 2000. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Okay, well, they had the open gaming license to basically let creators, or the common man, create adventures and content for Dungeons and Dragons. And other systems have kind of adopted this license to say, you can use our rules, our format, our words, our, all our themes, and make your own content and sell it. You can use it to write adventures and sell these and do whatever, make money off of it, without, and it's perpetual. This open gaming license is perpetual, which people took as forever. No matter what happens, we can do this. And companies were born out of this, like they make money off of this. And I'm sure, many make more than others, but it was a genius idea to keep them on top.
Plus all these YouTube channels and podcasts and fan produced material. So it's people who are making money off of it and just fan groups.
Right.
It's open to everybody. Was the idea.
Right. And that's the thing that's come to head is in the last few years, as Dungeons and Dragons got more popular, people are making more money off of it. And Hasbro's like, well, that's our money.
God, Hasbro
you're making too much money.
They're I hate Hasbro. I buy their crap too, but God, they're awful.
Yeah. This happened back with, we are in 5th edition right now, and now they're trying to transfer to 1 D&D, which is, basically 6th edition. But back in, someone say like 2008, they were finishing up 3rd edition, going to 4th, and people, and they basically tried to do in the OGL that they tried to say, hey, you can sign up to make this content for 4th edition, but you're gonna have to pay to do it, and people were like, no, that's fine, we'll just stick with 3rd. And 4th edition tanked. It was like, many people stayed with it because Dungeons and Dragons is a huge name and people are fans, but they did not want to, they were trying to make money off of them, and they were like, forget it, we'll just use this. We have the open gaming license 1.0. We can keep doing your previous editions without, there's nothing to do about it. So they did that, and a huge company was born out of that. Paizo, I believe it was Paizo, came up with Pathfinder, which was like they came up with the edition 3.5, 3.5, which was like some improvements, and then they made their whole Pathfinder system, which was basically that. And since then, they have kind of changed their edition, but they screwed themselves. They shot themselves in the foot, then splintering the industry. And now they're doing it again. Because the reason they don't realize that the reason they became this big was because of the creators, because of all this free advertising. People like Critical Role, plays Dungeons and Dragons, and millions of people watch it, and that people go buy D&D products. Right. Yep. And now they want their money, and it's like we're leaving money on the table. How can we raise, it's all money for investors. That's every year you got to make, it's like, you guys were making more money. Everybody was making more money, but you had to get greedy.
Yep. They have
Greed
to have
is
all
not cheap.
the money.
Yeah. So basically, the reason it works is because when D&D makes content, these companies make content, you're selling to, there's books that sell like crazy. Those are like a player's handbook and things like that everybody buys. But adventures, only dungeon masters buy for the most part. So there's, still sell a lot, but they're less interested in making adventures because that's a DM product. So that's where the common man comes in. Third-party creators make the adventures, make a bunch of adventures, and sustain your product and sustain your system because there's the open gaming license and they're like they make it for Dungeons and Dragons. People came back to 5th edition and they're making all this content for them for free. And yeah, they're making money off of it. Well, I could write an adventure, put it on Kickstarters, print books, whatever, make money. It's like anybody can do this stuff. And they're like, well, now if you make a certain amount of money, we want a percentage. They basically sent out. There was around December 20th, we got this information, that article from IO9. And then and people kind of were saying, this isn't good. This isn't going to be good.
It leaked ahead of time. They weren't ready to announce it. I just saw it got out ahead of time, apparently.
And so they tried to counter it. They came out with a statement saying, oh, it's not, this is about, we just want to change some things about how, we want there to be, you can't have any kind of hate speech and things like that, which is great. That's maybe that wording needs added.
Corporations and companies will do that also too. They'll leak it out themselves just to try and get a reaction, see how bad it's going to be. Like Disney does that crap all the time and it pisses me off. But yeah, I mean, to quote the great YouTuber Michael French, retro blasting, the fans are doing the best work, and that's exactly what you have here. It's exactly what you have that's happening, I swear to God, in every aspect of Hasbro's business. And they're all ticked off in every corner because somebody else is doing it better than they are, or somebody's making a little bit of money that, God forbid, they can't get their grubby hands on. Sorry.
Yeah, that's like technically it's their property and legally and what, yes, they own it, but, especially for something like that is based on creativity and fan involvement, and like you're cutting off your nose to spite your face, obviously, right. But like that. If
there's a group, if there's one fan, if there's somebody out there doing your product better than you, just hire them. Make them an offer they can't resist, and do it that way. Like, don't just get pissed off because they're better at what you do than you are.
So they came out with this new open gaming license saying that this was leaked, that they had sent this to creators, and it said basically we're canceling the original open gaming license, and this new one's got some new stipulations. And now if you make over $750,000, we get 25% of that. But that's gross. That's the gross revenue, and that companies, these creators may not make.
Yeah, they're not going to make any profit
after they pay artists and product costs and everything to do it. They don't make anywhere near that big number. Mm-hmm. But off the top, Hasbro wants that money, and then you pay all your other stuff, and then you get nothing or lose money.
Wow.
So they totally, they release that, and then they're trying to act like they were just gonna, they're just floating it out there or whatever. And all these creators go, no, this came with a contract. This was not what do you think about this? This was, hey, sign this before anybody, realizes what's going on, and we can trap you into this. So, but they did not expect what happened. It went nuts. Everybody was like, "Don't sign this." Then they did not respond. They didn't respond to any of this happening, and so people waited another day or two, and then all these creator companies got together and were like, "Fine, we're going to do our own open gaming license, and we'll create our own, maybe our own big system." Or they were just like, "This is our moment. We don't need D&D anymore. We can make our own thing. We don't, that there's no reason for them to totally control the industry anymore." And they still didn't say anything. And then another thing leaked from someone inside Wizards of the Coast saying, "Hey, I saw, was in a meeting, and all they care about is D&D Beyond. How many subscriptions they have to that. That's their online service. Like, you can get your books digitally and you play online, and they're going to go to a virtual tabletop and all this. And it's like, people subscribe to that and play online, or even if you're playing, at a table, you bring your tablet, it does all the math for you. It is really great system. And they said that we'll just see, if they're still paying us, it must not be that big of a deal. So they created this D&D Be Gone hashtag, and all these people dumped D&D Beyond. They all quit their subscriptions in the last.
Yeah, I saw that there's so much traffic it shut the page down for an amount of time that people were quitting so in mass.
Yeah. So then finally they said that, well, they were supposed to make an announcement yesterday, and then that happened. Everybody was dumping D&D Beyond, and so they didn't do it. And then they released a statement today. They finally, after over a week, said something, and it's the most Michael Scott statement. Oh, it was just like, we weren't going to do that. It's first off, it's all a lie, because people said they got contracts with it.
Someone at D&D is wearing the Willy Wonka outfit, like trying to hide in the bathroom. Like, it wasn't my idea.
He said, my favorite statement is like, they're going to say, because they start backing down and they're not going to do this stuff. They're not going to try to. Oh, they also had said in that thing they wanted to sign that they can use your content that you create. If they want to put it,
the big thing I saw, that they can just take it from you.
Yeah. And they can renegotiate. They can change the terms of this contract at any time. And all this, and just like it was just
I don't negotiate any fun.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. They could do anything they want, and anyway, they said, "Oh no, we would never do that." All this, and then they said, "Now people are going to say that they won after this, after we put this out." It's just like, why do you have to do this? Why do you have to say this? People are going to say they won, and that we lost, but that's not, we all won. It's like, no. It's so gross, and they so screwed themselves. I'm so much is going to be born of this. They're going to have haters forever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a major thing that happened.
But this is D&D is such a small niche corner of the world, but this is everything. This is the world now. This is capitalism. This is I was looking at comments from this, and I saw people talking about Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Where in the recent years the same thing has gone on. People have gotten so sick of that company, they're pumping out product and raising prices and like hurting their fans just because they need to turn a few extra bucks. I'd still sell the Hero Clicks, and I have people complain to me all the time that prices just went up again on those.
Mm-hmm.
They're having fewer figures per booster pack. They've changed the rules a bunch of times. There's like they keep messing with it. They had Hero Clicks has gone on for 15 years. Like, it's one of the most successful gaming things. But to me, I think of Netflix all the time. What company was bigger, more profitable, more beloved than Netflix was for decades? They were so smart and ahead of the curve on the streaming stuff. They signed up, 90% of America. Like, they had it. Everyone loved Netflix. It was affordable. They had amazing content. But as we've talked about, it wasn't quarter after quarter growth and improvement and shareholder dividends and all. Like, they had to keep being, they were the most profitable company on the planet. They spawned, Netflix and chill. Like, it was a cultural thing. They owned streaming, but you can't be happy with that. To appease shareholders, you have to keep improving. So what have we had the last couple of years? Talk about, we can't share passwords anymore. We're going to add commercials to it. Like, they're going to destroy Netflix in this short-term gain thing, where it's like, what? At some point, you can't make any more profit.
You will make everyone hate it.
Just be happy with what you
until
have.
It's gone. Yeah, it's always
so same. Yeah, D&D is a beloved institution, been around since the 80s. Has had ups and downs in popularity, but like, it's never been bigger right now culturally. Like you said, why not be happy with that? Invest in that, make that grow, be happy with what you have. But no, it's a publicly traded company, so you've got to show investor growth to get everyone their stock buybacks, whatever any of that means. But that's everything. Nothing gold can stay, as the poet said.
It's awful. So I'm curious where it goes from here, but man, it was big breaking news constantly about it, and just all the fans just freaking came together. All these channels, it's just like you turned the internet against you. Like, do you know how many of these people that were on your side and making you money, and you
would have bought your product forever, and
you turned all of them, you got all of them to band together and crush you. It's like it's just like, it's kind of neat to watch. Like, I enjoy watching them crumble, because I don't care. I don't, it's like, I love Dungeons and Dragons, but it's not, I don't care. I'd much rather watch corporate people fail.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Yes, I bet.
But I mean, this type of thing is happening everywhere. I mean, if there's a fandom, you can find an example of this where they will turn their most beloved people against them eventually. Like, even, I spend so much time watching YouTube vloggers doing Disney parks, theme parks, and things like that. And these theme parks are now getting to the point where some, they've started to ban, vlogging in their parks, or you can't ride certain rides unless you have a camera attached to your body trying to, cut down. Basically, if you don't have a GoPro, you're not going to get ride footage and stuff like that. But yet, these are the same people that are promoting your product for free. These are the people that are out there and selling it better than you can. It's just, this crap is everywhere.
That's all short-term thinking to maximize how much money can I make right this second, without any thought to the long game and keeping the brand healthy and and growing in the long term.
They have people in there that have been around and are they probably grew up and they're like thinking, I got my dream job, I'm working for D&D, this is amazing. And they were trying to tell them, hey, don't do this. This happened before. Mm-hmm. And this is worse. What are you doing? And they're like, no, you don't understand. We are here to, we were hired to make the money, and we know better than you. And it's like, you don't, but let's see what happens. It's like they forget that, D&D is not like the perfect system. It's the system that was there and, started this, and people creators supported it. And so it's just always been on top. It doesn't have to be. There's a million systems, and people play different ones because some like them crunchier than others, and some like these things from every other system. It just happens to be the most embedded. It's like, well, it's not going to be anymore. So you screw yourself. Anyway.
Well, we've got a couple other pieces of news that might segue into that. Some stuff that's happened in the couple weeks since we've been on the air. Warner Brothers and the HBO mess. So we talked about them canceling. We've canceled the Batgirl movie. We've canceled Westworld. But then it came out, they're also removing stuff from HBO Max and their streaming service. They've gone so far as not just to make, they're not making new stuff. You can't even watch the old stuff anymore.
That immediately like rubbed me the wrong way when I was just so like, that's the one thing about HBO. You could always go there and watch any of their original content. It was always there. And
that's
now
thing I always felt about some channels like HBO had that longer thinking, shows like The Wire or Oz. Those were never ratings, big ratings deals or big award winners, but they were quality shows. And I feel like they let them have room to breathe and tell their stories. And okay, maybe at the end of it, we get a DVD box set. They weren't thinking of streaming back then, but like they still had them. And they kept making smart shows like that, every once in a while you get a Sopranos that was a huge ratings thing, or Game of Thrones. But like, I always respected HBO for making these shows and having like a library of really quality content. So once you get to the streaming era, yes, that's a perfect selling point. Like, come to HBO Max. We have, there's decades of shows that you may not have watched back then. We have Sex and the City and all these classic HBO shows. Well, if those aren't even safe, then what is? I said we get to these. I'm to the point. I don't even like that 1899 show just came out. I was like, that sounds interesting. I'm not going to watch it. They'll probably cancel it. Oh, boom, no season 2 of that. So like, it's training people not to even watch their stuff.
It really is.
That's a self-sustaining, whatever that, if I'm not going to watch it because it's going to get canceled, therefore nobody watches it, so it gets canceled, I guess. But I guess among the shows pulled, Westworld, The Minx, The Nevers, the Joss Whedon show, Love Life, Raised by Wolves, and a whole bunch of others. When I saw it, there's a plan to license 13 of its HBO originals to third-party, free, ad-supported streamers like Pluto or Tubi or the Amazon Freevee. So they're going to license them out and make a little money that way, rather than having to pay. They had to pay the royalties, whatever pennies those were.
And they raised HBO. They raised your subscription this week. It's $1 more starting next month. HBO.
God, if I have to start paying to watch Dream On episodes from here on out, I'm gonna be ticked off.
But again, HBO, a beloved company that produced some of the best.
It's my favorite streaming
ever.
Service.
Yeah.
And they can't even keep people.
And it's like, and you're going to take one of your best seasons of television ever, Westworld season 1, gone. It's like, that's why people would come to your service.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And again, why not let them finish season 5? Then then it's just archived forever. Some kid growing up who wasn't even alive when season 1 started will watch that someday and be really enthralled by Westworld. But that's not the thinking. So probably the biggest story in our world, at least my world, was about Henry Cavill no longer being Superman. And again, Warner Brothers messing stuff up.
Hired, fired, rehired, fired again.
Speaking of beloved to hated, James Gunn, the Snyder Bros have gone for James Gunn's throat. I think I don't know. His goodwill didn't last very long at DC.
Yeah, I saw today they announced that somebody leaked some guy that they thought was going to be the next Superman, and James Gunn immediately was like, he has not been cast until it's done. But I was like, good, because I don't like that guy. Immediately I was like, nope.
They should just start saying like whatever the name the character, and they should always just say it's going to be The Rock. Like The Rock plays everybody.
I nominate Henry Cavill, grow his hair out, and play the Beyonder.
Nice. Get him a disco
I nailed
jacket.
It, didn't I?
Yeah.
I crushed it.
So apparently no more Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Jury's still out on Ezra Miller. It might be
that goofball
this week. He might come back for Flash too, but
he's going to be the one that survives, the one nobody wants.
have to break him out of jail.
So yeah, then there's all these stories about The Rock and like friction he's had with the studios. Like it's just a mess over there. I don't know. James Gunn can only do so much. But the big backlash online, the Snyder Bros want Netflix to buy the rights to the Snyderverse and make a Justice League 2 and let Zack. So there's all this hashtag Snyder Netflix or whatever the thing is. So that's these deluded people who you gave them the Snyder cut after all this time. You gave in to their demands, and now they want more. They want Netflix to produce more Snyder content. I'm not going to say it's impossible because they've proven they can get it done. Fun stuff. Maybe a bit of good news on the horizon. We didn't get a chance to talk about Mike Flanagan planning to adapt The Dark Tower. How about that?
Oh, I'm all about it.
This is
excited.
Co-creator of House on Haunted Hill and Midnight Mass on Netflix. After 6 years working for Netflix, he is left. His most recent show just got canceled on there, so he is moving to Amazon Studios. And then he's had some interviews talking about what's coming up for them, and he mentioned this Dark Tower thing, and he envisions it as a TV series to run for 5 seasons, followed by 2 standalone feature films. So that's his plan. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. But yeah, no word on what studio or where it would exist. But I think I would trust him with Dark Tower above most anybody else.
Yeah. Glenn Mazzara made a pilot I would love to watch, but I listened to a podcast with him a couple years ago, and I really loved his take. Like, I mean, he just basically laid out every detail how he was planning on doing it, but then it got canceled. And I was like, oh, I really loved it. I was kind of heartbroken about it, but I trust Mike Flanagan to at least be going the right direction, and it needs to be happening. I want to see this done as close to the right way as possible, and seasons of television is the way to do it. It needs to be done right, and so I'm super excited about it. Mazzara was going to do it like chronologically and start with the 4th book, which is a flashback, but it sounds like Flanagan's starting with the first book, which is always the killer. Like, people read the first book and are like, no, they're not into it. It's like, that is not what the series is, that first book,
It took me a little while to get into it, for sure. I wasn't quite hooked till some other things started happening. So yeah, I could see getting lost in the weeds on the first book.
Right. But yeah, I'm super hyped. I trust that guy as much as anybody, so cannot wait to see where it goes from there.
The only other news I had was the Golden Globes, the glitz and glamour of Hollywood.
What a
boy, that was
thing!
terrible.
I swear to God, I saw Elise Marie Presley sitting there at the Golden Globes, and like 2 days later, she was dead.
There. So these did not air last year. I think they gave out the awards, but they didn't televise them because there was all this controversy that they weren't diverse enough. They had no, minority members. There was very little presence. So they took a year and took a long, hard look in the mirror, trying to figure out what was wrong. But I love award shows. Whatever.
I do too. I can't help it. I'm gotta watch them.
Except again, this did what every award show did. The stupid music playing people off and rushing people through. It's like,
so ridiculous.
Let them talk. This is their moment. They earned it. Let them talk. Even the people I've never heard of, the cinematographers and the weird, musician dudes. I'll never see you again, but I want to hear what you have to say right this moment.
There are times though that some of these guys, you could tell they don't have anything to say, and they just, so do it then. Don't do it for everybody. It's so ridiculous and painful. It's like when you have these other moments in your show that are worthless and, frivolous. It's like, cut that garbage out.
Well, and the people receiving the awards now know I've got 30 seconds. So they get up there and they're like, and they're talking so fast and just rattling stuff off. I'm just like, I didn't get any of that.
It was like, oh, Michelle Yeoh happened to be like, stop.
Yeah.
It was just like,
yeah,
you guys better stop it.
She's 60 years old and has been, this is a lifetime in Hollywood and this is her crowning achievement and glory. And no, hurry up, lady. Come on. We got places to be. It's like, stop it. But the other thing it did, there wasn't a lot of extraneous. I mean, it's a long show, whatever. There were no clips from the movies.
Yeah.
They didn't show any of these performances.
Now that you say that, I was like, yeah.
It's a mess. It drives me crazy because I want a 6-hour show. I want all the clips. I want everybody to see all those moments that I fell in love with watching these movies and get people to go see them and then see people win the awards for them. It's like, it really feels much emptier without that, without showing what the people are talking about.
Yeah.
And half the time you don't even see the person. They don't even show them sitting in the chair or whatever. Like, they might scroll past their, whatever. But yeah, so that's my thinking is like, most of the people watching this are just casual. They didn't listen to our year anticipatory podcast. They don't know every movie that comes
Obviously
out.
they didn't.
So, like,
I've seen the numbers.
Showing a clip that looks really interesting. So something they might have never heard of, or or to understand why this actor is getting all this buzz this year, whatever. But the host was Gerard Carmichael, who I like as a comedian. And again, the next day, the brutal takedown, all these clickbait articles. Yeah. But that joke, the Scientology joke, Ricky Gervais wishes he had told a joke as like perfectly brutal as that was. But mocking Tom Cruise's hypocrisy to not his face because he wasn't there, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, I liked he did fine. So I'll give a couple of the winners real quick. Best TV series comedy was Abbott Elementary. That won a bunch of things, including Best Actress for Quinta Brunson. Best Actor in a Comedy was the Bear, Jeremy Allen White. Best Limited Series or Anthology was The White Lotus, which seemed to have a big night.
It's amazing. I love that show.
Actress in a Drama, Zendaya for Euphoria. Actor in a drama, Kevin Costner for Yellowdale. You'll love to see it.
Oh, I hated that. I was just like, what a stupid pick. The end there. Well, I can't remember the other nominees what were, but he would have been the last one I forgot.
Nobody expected him. That was probably my favorite moment of the night was Regina Hall riffing and making a joke about why would he even want to be there, and then continuing to read the cue card. Yeah. That was like a Curb Your Enthusiasm type moment where it's like, oh, he's currently sheltering in place because of a natural disaster. It's like, oh, that was so awkward.
And they're like, what was that? A few miles from where they were or something, Ridiculous.
So, best TV drama, House of the Dragon. So, did anyone see that coming?
No.
Up against Better Call Saul, The Crown, Ozark, and Severance. I could see any of those other four winning over House of the Dragon. No matter how much you like the show, I don't see that as a big award.
I thought for sure it'd be Better Call Saul, maybe Severance.
On the movie side of things, animated picture, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I haven't seen that. Is that worth a watch?
I started it, but I haven't finished it.
So a couple of cool winners. Actress in a supporting role was Angela Bassett from Wakanda Forever.
Okay, fine. But I just really wanted the daughter, Stephanie Sue from Everything Everywhere All at Once. I thought she was so good.
So the other two actors from that film supporting role, and Best Actress went to Ki Hai Kwan and Michelle Yeoh. Both won for that. Early in the night, both had really great speeches.
Before they were getting into the piano too much, they didn't. I don't think they played him off. He had a great speech.
I thought he was his acceptance was probably the highlight for me, pretty much of that show.
Yeah. You better think of another good speech before the Oscars, because it's going to happen again.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, though, like how he shouted out Spielberg and, and all that. So.
Wow. Thank you so much. I was raised to never forget where I came from and to always remember who gave me my first opportunity. I am so happy to see Steven Spielberg here tonight. Steven, thank you.
Yeah, he's the Hollywood darling right now.
So Best Actor in a Comedy went to Colin Farrell.
100%.
And then
he was great.
Best Motion Picture Comedy was Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah, I mean, I assume though was Everything Everywhere All at Once was in that category too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, Ki Hai Kwan beat what's his name?
Brendan Gleeson,
yeah. So they're all nominated for the same thing. So.
Both movies are great.
Yes. Best Actress in a Drama, Cate Blanchett for Tar.
Yep.
Actor in a Drama, Austin Butler for Elvis, which
he's fine.
Like he was good at portraying a famous historical person, which I feel like a lot of award shows give award that easier than a more complicated.
What was the name of that movie? This is the whole Rami Malek thing all over again. Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
It's like, go away. Just because you play some famous dead person does not mean you deserve the award.
He sang Blue Christmas on Saturday Night Live to play off Cecily Strong. I mean, come on. That was worth the award right there.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, he was good in the movie.
I liked him, but that does not mean that you automatically, just because you played some famous person effectively, does not mean that you automatically win. That's what they think, though.
That's an easier thing for a person to see. Like, wow, he did a good job being Elvis.
Yeah.
Yep. I know that guy. Hey, he acted just like him.
Yep,
exactly. Good job.
And last awards of the night, Director for a Motion Picture went to Spielberg, and Best Picture Drama for The Fabelmans.
I kind of wanted him to get shut out because so he'd have to sit there and not win. And Kevin Costner doesn't show up and wins.
But this was such a weird, Fabelmans had to win as I was watching this, because the other nominees were Avatar: The Way of Water,
right,
Elvis, Top Gun: Maverick, and Tar.
Right.
But, okay, so I can see Tar as Independent Spirit Award, maybe Oscar, but and then all these other movies are crowd pleasing. That felt like a memo. We have to have more crowd pleasing movies.
Right.
So The Fabelmans was the only one that even felt like an award winner in that whole bunch. So it seemed like the safest choice of all that. So it's really, those are the 5 best movies we had this year?
Yeah, no.
I guess all the competition was in the comedy category.
Yeah. Turn in to the Pooh-Bah Awards here in a few weeks.
Yeah.
That's right. I said all that just to preview
just to set
Pooh-Bah
this up.
Awards.
Yeah. We like to come in between the Globes and the Oscars, slide in with the Pooh-Bah Awards and tell you what it's supposed to be.
Oh,
We're going to pick our favorites of last year, so you want to hear that.
Yeah. I don't know what format. We used to read them all. Now it's we can't do that anymore, but we'll talk about the ones
I'm going to bring this up for the first time on air. I think we should pick performances as well. I think we should have some kind of performance.
I've already got my sheet, but it's just more for fun.
Pick your favorite, whatever. You can pick Elvis, Cliff. That's all right. You don't even have to think about it.
I'm fine with that. I have watched so many freaking movies in the last few weeks. Like, it's ridiculous. One day I watched 6 90s movies.
Oh my God.
I woke up like 5 o'clock.
You took a vacation in the 90s?
Yeah, I woke up like 5 o'clock in the morning on vacation. It was like, watched, I don't remember. Well, watched some movie and it happened to be from the 90s. I was like, wow, man, that was a 90s ass movie. I was like, what else? And I was like, this is a great time for me to watch on my watch list, on my letterbox, these movies that I have never made myself watch. You know, I want to. I'm like, okay, well, this is the chance. And I watched a couple I hadn't seen, watched a couple I wanted to rewatch, and it was a good time. It was a good day. Long day. 6 movies. That was long. I like one of them was I had never rewatched Primal Fear, and Nick was over to eat that day. And I was like, okay, this is what made Edward Norton famous, was this movie. And it's that one where, do you know what movie I'm talking about, Cliff?
Mm.
It's like Richard Gere, and there's some priest got killed, and Edward Norton was like an altar boy, you know, and he's in jail for supposedly killing this priest.
Mm.
And he's like this freaking just, well, golly, blah, 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 you know, the whole movie. And I'm going to spoil Primal Fear now. So tune out if you don't want to know the answer. I'm sure you know already. At the end, you realize he was just sly and doing the hokey voice. And it's just a really good acting performance. And it made him a star. Like, people were like, oh my gosh, they didn't know what to make of him, you know. It was good.
So what? I watched Glass Onion. Why in the flashback scene did they dress him exactly like Tom Cruise from Magnolia?
Because that's
that was
amazing.
I don't know. I didn't understand. Like the silk shirt, he had the long hair with like the top knot pulled back. Like I swear it was the exact wardrobe Tom Cruise wore in Magnolia, and I don't understand it, but I love it.
It's guarantee it was on purpose. Yeah, just like Ryan Johnson, just likes to have all these hidden little things like that. It's good. Oh my gosh.
We never did inform the public about all the fun we had at the Comic-Con last month.
True. Can't call it that, can you? You can call it
Galaxy Con.
Yeah.
Their first show in Columbus, our capital of our great state. We got tickets and decided to go on up. We invited Mr. Jesse Starcher of the Source Material podcast, but his whole family betrayed him. His whole family got sick like just a couple days before, so sadly he wasn't able to join us. So let's tell Jesse what he missed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good pizza. Good pizza up there.
Oh, yes.
We did have good pizza. But that was after the show. Yeah, that was after the show. So we went up and was at the Columbus Convention Center downtown. We'd all been to before, and first time in Columbus, and this was pretty celebrity driven. We figured that out pretty quickly. Not heavy on the comics. A lot of vendors, but the I guess the comic and the toy side of fandom, wasn't really a thing for that. So, but
it was a decent mix. It had
some.
A ton of creators, a ton of celebrities.
Yeah.
It had a lot of vendors, just not a ton of what you'd normally expect.
Right. So, but it was, it was a really good time. I'm glad we went, and we all kind of, I guess, kind of went for some different things, but we got some autographs, and we each did one panel and got some books signed, and I first thing I did, I think, was went over to the Little Mermaid, her booth, Jodie Benson, and got some personalized autographs for my wife and my daughter, and did not tell them. And those ended up being just a couple Christmas gifts here. And my wife cried. Later told me it was probably her favorite thing she got this year. And Carly has hers framed and set up in her room there. She was all excited, thought it was pretty cool. So yeah. Nice.
Yeah, like you, I'm kind of selective over who I would pay to get an autograph. But this was the show, had the whole cast of Clerks there. So I went a little crazy, took my Clerks poster that I bought from Kevin Smith's website when I was in college. He had a sale on his website, and he autographed all the posters he sold. So I ordered a Clerks, A Mallrats, and a Chasing Amy poster back in the day, all signed by Kevin Smith. So I've had those forever. So the whole rest of the cast, well, Kevin was there Saturday, but we didn't go till Sunday. So we didn't get to see Kevin. But if you can imagine, we got there Sunday. It opened at 10. We were there a little after 10. And the first place I just walked down to the celebrity side just to see, kind of scope out, see where everybody was. And I looked down the aisle, and you say Sundays are always slower to start. There was only one celebrity at the table, the whole either side of the aisle, and it was Brian O'Halloran as Dante. I was like, what a reliable person. He's there at the quick stop at 6 a.m.
He slid the door up. Right.
He checked the lock for gum. He was there. He got the newspapers, made the coffee. He was there to work. So, yeah, we kind of walked around a little bit, and the celebrity side filled out, and I got all the autographs. Jason Mewes, Jeff Anderson, and Marion Gigliotti, who played Veronica in that movie. And she's the only person I had to stand in line for more than about 5 minutes.
Amazing crossover fans.
We met the biggest fans of Marion Gigliotti you've ever seen. They just had to ask her all kind of questions, and what you get, it's fine. That's what you're there for. That's great. Yeah. But everybody was very pleasant.
I got to tell you, she looked better in person than she did in Clerks 3.
I noticed that when I watched the movie. I thought, wow, okay.
I was like, how the heck did she look so? She looked really nice in person. Like in the movie, I'm like, oh my God.
So I had no intent of getting a photo because, of course, they all charge for an autograph, charge for a photo. But Seth basically forced me to get a picture with Jason Mewes for my own good. He knows what's best. So Seth made me. So I got a picture holding the signed poster next to Jay Mewes, and that was a cool memento to have. I will admit publicly.
You must admit against your will. Yeah, I was just like, no, okay, just shut up, go over there. You have to do this. It's like you'll think about it later.
So that was my number one mission. Number two mission was to get some autographs on some comic books. Met Howard Chaykin was a fun guy.
Yeah, he was funny.
Yeah, I went over and I had bought because I thought, after I was there for a while, I thought, if I don't buy like an old Star Wars book and have him sign it, I'm really probably going to regret it. It might be the only chance I have. So I went over and I'd found a Star Wars #1 in a booth, but it was just chewed all to hell. So I ended up buying a #3, and I took it over to his booth, and I was like, hey, are you still signing autographs here? And he goes, oh yeah. Read the sign. And I look over, and he's got a sign sitting there that was like, I don't know, what was he charging? $5?
Probably $10. Probably 10. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like 5 or 10, or I think it was 5, and it said like, unless it's Star Wars, and then it's like 15. And I was like, oh, that's funny. He's like,
this is a man who has dealt with Star Wars fans his whole life.
He's like,
he knows what it's worth.
He's like, did you read the sign? I was like, yeah, that's funny. He's like, but did you read it? And I was like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay. Here's your cash.
So you didn't get to work your charm like you did with Larry Hama.
I did not. Yeah, it was that was the makeup.
Met Mike Grell one of my favorite artists from the 80s. Did a long run on Green Arrow. Got a sketch cover done from him. Again, it cost more than it said on the website. And then there was an added-on fee. They charge you more for a sketch cover, which I don't understand, but it's the way of the world. So yeah, that's my only negative of this whole show is how many people were charging for autographs. Just simple, I have 1 or 2 comics. Some people were doing it for charity. That's fine. Several people had first 5 signatures free. Then we charge after that. That's perfectly fine. But just $5, $10, some were $20 for an autograph. And it's like I've gone to these shows too long not having to pay. That it's a hard adjustment to try to decide, is this really worth it? And then you think, okay, I'll never see this guy again. Whatever, it's just $5. But then you you kind of resent it as well. So I that's the only thing negative. Left the negative.
Then now you hate them, and why do I even want their autograph?
Right, I'm gonna throw it away.
Yeah. Yeah, you sign that, give them their money, and just wad it up, throw it in their face.
But my favorite guest there was Mr. Jim Shooter. Did not charge a dime. Legendary Jim Shooter.
He was amazing. He was everything I wanted him to be.
Nice suit jacket, professional, polite, told stories, talked to everybody, shook hands, took photos. Oh, sharp looking crew cut. But Seth, I think you got the creme de la creme, where you got to be Janet Van Dyne in a role play scenario.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I told him, Bob Hall had told me years ago that he totally blamed Jim Shooter about the slap, about him hitting her. And I came at him about it when we were when I was getting my 213 signed, 217 and all that. And he's like, he finally just, I thought we were past it. And then I came around for the picture, and he stood up, put his hands on the table. He was imitating Hank Pym. He's like, no, he was supposed to be standing like this. And she just come up, and he accidentally, and he's going through it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. It's like Jim Shooter is acting out. Oh, that is a surreal moment. That's surreal.
And then we got to stick around for his panel at that afternoon,
which was inspiring and amazing.
Yeah, give some talk about writing tips and how to tell stories. And although for a 45 minute panel, spending 10 minutes of it explaining the plot to Indiana Jones was a little much.
I loved it.
He's trying to talk about story structure and how the hero's journey and all this stuff. But it's like, and then the rock comes rolling down. He tells the whole plot to Indiana Jones. Yeah. It was like, yeah, we know, we've seen it. But yeah, him just telling anecdotes about when he took over at Marvel in the late 70s and how poorly run it was and how everyone was stealing money and not doing work and everything.
That really bothered me. He was talking about the stealing money and how they had that woman at the desk that was just, anybody that sent in a subscription with cash money, any kid, she just threw it in the trash and took the money. And I was like, what if my parents had not written a check? Mm-hmm. Or what, I may have never got them and just never read comics. I pulled that 217 off the newsstand, and I immediately got subscriptions to Cap and the Avengers, starting at Cap 265 and right there. It's I sent that check in. I think it was probably $4, $4.25 for a year subscription. And what if I had taped my quarters to the thing all these other kids did and mailed it in themselves?
When the secretary of the workplace, I got away with it for 3 years, embezzling the money from the envelopes from subscription. It's how did you not get angry letters and calls? And
because and that just, the thing is, it makes total sense that the one you wouldn't, because the ones that the kids sent in were the cash ones. They had just put their change in an envelope and sent it in, and so their parents they're like, "What? You did what? I don't care. Go away."
Yeah. I went to a panel that you guys did not go to while you were off getting stuff signed. I slipped into the Smallville panel because part of the celebrity guest was like the cast of Smallville, and I watched that show, through the whole run, and as bad as it was at times, but it's been off the air for like 10 or 11 years now or whatever, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was funny because it didn't start exactly when it was supposed to. So what had happened was I just kind of saw a crowd gathering off, waiting in line to get into the room. And I thought, oh, what's that panel for? I was like, oh, it's Smallville. And so I just went in and kind of was like, there was a big crowd and some people that had special passes got in first. So I thought, well, it's the big room and I'll just try and sit in the middle and get as close as I can. So I ended up like sitting in the first section of seats in the very last row, right in the middle. And there was like a couple seats on each side of me that were empty. But there were a lot of people in the panel. And as I was sitting there, they kind of got, like I said, got rolling kind of late. And like these two women walked over and they're like, hey, is anybody sitting over here? And I was like, oh no, and I thought, oh crap, I gotta people. And they ended up like leaving a chair. They ended up leaving a chair in between us, but we're kind of sitting there a few more minutes and I look over and like this girl next to me, I told you guys know this story, but she pulls out an entire 12-inch Subway sandwich. And I'm like, what is going on? This bitch has a $5 footlong in her purse. And she just opens it up, starts eating. She's got chips, she's got a drink, and I was like, what kind of show is this? And she sat there and she ate the whole thing. But the panel was a lot of fun. John Glover was really fun. He went back and forth with Michael Rosenbaum, that played, Lex and Lionel Luthor, John Glover. And John Glover did a little dance and it was just a good time. Kristen Crook looked amazing. She, from where I was sitting, she looked exactly like she did on the show. And it was a really good time. So that was the panel I went to.
No mention of Chloe?
No, I kept waiting. I thought for sure somebody, would ask a question about the Nexium sex cult. But nobody did it, and they shut it down before anybody had the chance, I think.
Well, they've already started announcing guests for next year, so cast of Boy Meets World will be there. I gotta get a Boy Meets World poster between now and December.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I love that show.
So yeah, good time. Had some good food. Went to both you guys' favorite spots up there, North Market and the Late Night Slice.
Yeah.
Got to sample both of those after hearing about them for years.
It's delicious.
Pretty good day. All in all, pretty good day. I enjoyed it.
Fun stuff.
Well,
that does it. Yes.
I think that does it.
That does it. It's spoken. Hey, thanks for listening. We will be back shortly. My name is Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
Seth. Bye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon at patreon.com/udamwithkpp for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.